Robert. This is episode 1 of season 2, Mad Max. In 3, 2, 1, go. So I was not kind of in tune with the culture of what people thought about this when it was coming out, because I don't think I watched this as it came out. Was there resistance to this, or were people like, yay, more Stranger Things?
I vaguely remember a bit of both. There were some people like, oh, season 1 was perfect. It's a miniseries. We don't need more. But it was such a huge phenomenon. I think most people are pretty hyped for it. And then, like every follow-up season to a hit streaming show, it's a bit divisive. That's just the norm with these things.
That is true.
Whether fairly or unfairly, we have this. We're living in this weird age of. Well, I actually think we're out of it now. But there was this time where a miniseries would come out and it's amazing. It's just so creative and original and people love it. And then it's impossible to match that quality and hype with further seasons, and then everyone turns on it. Now I feel like we've just bypassed that stage to just, this sucks. Like a lot of the Disney Plus shows. Most of those don't even have great first seasons anymore.
So we're immediately starting with a characters that won't come back into play until later in the season.
Right.
I forgot we bookend that, like, not bookend, but like start with that.
Yeah. Well, it's like this prologue is here to tell us, hey, this is important. That episode's not going to be filler. This is important, and
it's filler.
We can get into that discussion later. What is filler? Is filler a bad thing? When is it fine? When is it a problem? But this prologue does feel very disconnected from the rest of the episode. And like, if it takes a couple episodes to catch up with it, that's fine. But it takes 6 or 7 for this opening to matter. And that's a problem.
Yeah, because that's not until what?
I want to say that's episode 7, though to be fair, it is kind of set up the episode prior. With stuff with 11's childhood, but we'll get there. I mean, again, that trying to play devil's advocate here, this is at least establishing that 11 isn't the only kid with powers, which you may not have picked up on with season 1. And then when you get to season 4, that element's going to be really important. So,
yeah, but I also wonder. I don't think everything with these kids makes sense when you add up season 1 and 2 with season 4. I don't think it adds up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a bit of retconning. Now, I like this idea, though. I like this idea that 11's sister, this other person, she doesn't have the exact same power. It's going for kind of a mutant X-Men vibe, but I like this idea that she can make people see things that aren't there. So that's cool. That she doesn't have literally the same powers 11 has, so I like that choice. Number 8, I think, is her name. But yeah, that opening.
Isn't it so epic? The slow-mo nosebleed. Yep, number 8. Mm-hmm.
I've always liked these opening credits. I still really like. How do you feel about calling it Stranger Things 2?
I think it's so dumb. It's season 2.
I think it's fun.
Sadie Sinks. What's interesting is we don't have guest stars anymore. When you add like Sadie Sink is introduced in the season, she's immediately in the opening credits.
Right.
And I was thinking about that because I was watching Talkville before we started this, and they had to fight to get Lois Lane. And the reason that she's not in season 4 very much is Warner Brothers would be like, you can use her for these many episodes. Now this many episodes the next season. And at some point they just gave up. No, like it sounds like it was a fight with DC on everything.
So right off the bat, we're a year later, and I love that we jump into the Halloween season and that we get to spend here for a couple episodes. Yeah, I love the Halloween stuff they do.
No, that's great. I have heard some people say, well, of course they went with Ghostbusters. Yes, of course they did. Like,
it's the year that movie came out. It's just funny after the fact when Finn Wolfhard becomes a Ghostbuster. Like 2 years after the
Is this the only time we see his mom?
we see her a few times this season, and I think they bring her back for 4.
Do they?
Because remember 4 has a lot of the town stuff and the town freaking out and the assemblies with a lot of the parents. I want to say we see Dustin's mom. I could be wrong.
So how do you rank the kids?
Ooh, that's tough. It's like we're just going by the whole show, right? What we have seasons 1 through 4.
Just as characters, yeah.
Because I think some dip or go up depending on the season.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like Will a lot, but primarily for the first couple seasons.
This is very siblingy.
Yes, this is great. But I think the consistently the best kid across 4 seasons is probably Dustin.
No, I mean it's not even close.
It's Dustin, and
the only one I kind of go back and forth on is Mike.
Right, I like Mike a lot in the first couple seasons, and by season 4, he gets very little to do.
Remember Devo? I unironically love Devo.
I like a lot of the song choices in the show.
Well, and I know more than just this song. Like I actually have like listened to their discography. Not all of it, but like they do a really good cover of the Rolling Stones. I Can't Get No Satisfaction.
Hey, they're playing Dragon's Lair.
I believe that is the game at the end of Ready Player One in the book.
Okay, that would make sense. Because this is a notoriously difficult game to get to the end of.
Yeah.
So this is our big arcade season. This is where some people roll their eyes and go, I get it, it's the 80s, it's arcade. But I mean, these kids would love going to the arcade.
Yeah, it's like
I don't think it's forced.
the very premise is it takes place in the 80s. Do you just want them to not do 80s things because it's nostalgia bait? That's why I find this whole like anti-nostalgia thing being dumb.
Right. This guy plays this guy who works at the arcade here. He plays this exact same character in everything. He is in Jurassic World. He works at a fast food restaurant in The Big Sick. Like every time I see this guy, he's playing the exact same character. And I do like how this is a trope we do a lot with like a name where it's like, oh, you didn't think it was a girl, did ya? I think it works fine the way we set up Mad Max here as this mystery person who beat their arcade scores.
Well, it also works because they're kids. They're not going to think a girl can beat them.
They're kids, and it's the 80s. Yeah.
And also, obviously, Keith will come back in season 3.
Mm-hmm.
He's the manager that hires Steve and Robin at the video store.
That is true. And this stuff is why when people say, oh, Stranger Things season 1, you should have left it alone, it's a miniseries, I don't entirely agree. There were clearly a couple of threads they left open as setup. Mainly this stuff with Will flickering in and out of the Upside Down. Like, that is clearly a potential sequel season tease when you get to one, at the end of one. But since we're at the arcade, it would be a good time for me to show off this. This is like $20 or $30.
Oh, that's cool.
A miniature Stranger Things arcade game. I'll play this for the second, but it's YouTube, so when you re-upload this, you might have to mute it.
Oh, that's cool.
And what I really like is that it's not just a screen, there is some depth to it. So it is like kind of a classic Arabian. So it's just this cheap little thing, but get some Stranger Things
cool.
part.
Just for sure.
And you actually can play some old games on like Pac-Man, Dig Dug. So that stuff's on there.
I remember the arcade, but the thing I played most was oh god, it wasn't an arcade machine. It was skee ball. I loved skee ball.
Skee-Ball's fun.
But
And
I also, as a kid, I was not a platformer guy. I was even back as a kid, like PS1. I'm a RPG guy.
Hmm. I always forget. Is this guy? Is this his first episode, or was he in season 1 somewhere?
No, this is
Is
his
his name
first
Murray?
episode.
Okay.
I I have mixed feelings on him because there's a scene later where he just exists to tell the audience things that are happening, and I don't buy it.
That's fair. I like him when he's used sparingly. I do like this actor.
I like him a lot in season 4, even though he's in arguably the worst subplot.
He also gets some fun stuff in 3.
Oh no, sorry, it's 3 because he has that dynamic with the Russian that is obviously the death of the season.
Mm.
This is also retroactively funny because he played Santa.
I think this is so far an effective kind of recapping the audience, but still moving the story forward. It's really well integrated exposition. This season has some really good small town stuff with some of these people that just pop up for like an episode, like these little squabbles and interactions.
Oh, right. So this is his introduction because he's hired by Barb's parents.
Mhm.
Which, I mean, I guess good on them. Like, I feel like most shows would have just forgotten that plot point.
Yeah, well, and it's a deliberate choice because of the whole justice for Barb thing,
Which
which
I've
I think is a
never
little
understood.
it's a little inflated and a little silly, but if you have to address it, I think this season handles it the best, most organic way possible. Where it's like, okay, everyone can calm down. This we have closure. But the stuff with Nancy that I like this season is just still her grief, and guilt over what, like that stuff works
Sometimes.
sometimes.
I think that season's problem is they set up stuff, and this will be a problem throughout the rest of the show. Any potentially character stuff you can't pay off because we just got to move on to the next action scene. I like him like struggling with his future.
Mm-hmm. And this stuff always confused me when I was first watching through it. Where I was like, wait, has Steve graduated yet? Or because I think he's still in school at this point.
He is.
But we never see him like go to class. I think
No,
by
especially in
3,
this
he's
season.
high school.
Well, no, in season 3 he's graduated. This is his senior year. We don't really spend a lot of time at the school for the older kids in this season.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, look, it's the Red Power Ranger.
Yay! I think he's great. He's a little over the top for this show at this point, but it is at least consistent with the Stephen King bullies we had in season 1. Like we wrapped that up. Now we need a new Stephen King bully to
What I
fill the
like
slot.
outside of the bullies and stuff, like this is how my dad described his high school experience because he was also a metalhead, and more of a loner, rebellious, popular, not very as popular, but
And I like this stuff with Will, like, because of course he'd be teased about what happened. Like, there people don't understand what happened.
kids are weird.
Yeah.
Oh, you went
Like,
missing
oh,
for a few months? We're gonna give you shit about it.
yeah, you idiot. It's a little overly choreographed, but I don't care. I love that quick shot where Max enters the room and all the kids just turn at the exact same time. It's very effective. At some point, we have either been this kid or known this kid, where you just come into a classroom and all these kids are staring at you, and it's the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
Like, please God, let me sit down.
I like that Dustin immediately puts it together.
Mm-hmm.
Weirdos.
Mm-hmm. And here's Bob, played by Sean Astin.
They have great chemistry.
I think they do. I was about to ask if you liked Bob.
I think he's fine. Like he has good chemistry with Winona Ryder, but I know he's going to die because that's the show.
Mm-hmm. I at least, if you can divorce yourself from the writing perspective, I at least buy it for the character. I'm not yelling at the screen like, "Oh my God, just put Joyce with Hopper already." Like, no, I buy with where she is at this point after
Yeah.
what she went through in season 1 and why she'd be interested in this guy right now. I buy
No, it would be weird if she immediately jumped to like I'm in love with Hopper.
it. And this is someone else she knew from high school or whatever. They have a connection.
Yeah.
And is the exact type of stability and warmth that she's looking for after the trauma of season 1.
No, he's great. I would have been upset if they decided to just keep him around as a love interest for a couple seasons.
I wouldn't have either. And I think that like I said, I just love the atmosphere of these first 2 episodes. All of the pumpkins, all of the props, and I like the attention to detail that the Ghostbusters costumes like are homemade because Joyce is the mother that the type of mother that would make her costumes for her kids. Like I love it.
So I'm gonna give them this as a resident of Indiana. This is almost spot on.
Cool. Do you know how much was shot in Indiana? How much was shot in other states?
I don't know if any of it is shot in Indiana.
Okay.
Let me check. No, the majority of it is filmed in Georgia.
That makes sense. A lot of stuff films in Georgia. Walking Dead. A lot of Walking Dead films in Georgia.
Well, that also takes place in Georgia, though.
Kind of.
At least those early seasons. It's more ambiguous once you get to like the prison and.
It's the Children of the Corn, John.
Have you ever seen that original movie?
I have. It's not great, but it has its moments.
It blew my mind when I realized Linda Hamilton was the lead.
She has a weird filmography outside of Terminator.
Remember that show Beauty and the Beast?
That was a hit show.
You remember when they tried to remake it?
Oh, are you talking about Beastly?
No, you don't remember this?
No, I'm thinking of like the CW show, whatever. No, there was a remake of that '80s Beauty and the Beast show.
Yeah, with Kristen Stewart, or not Kristen Stewart, sorry, Kristen Cruick.
Oh, weird. How long did that last?
4 years. Here,
Okay,
I'm sending you. I kind of want to watch it just to see her in a non-Smallville role. But yeah, here's the poster. I just sent it to you.
Oh, and this was CW. Oh yeah, never watched that.
I kind of want to watch the original because that's got Perlman.
It does have Ron Perlman. That's the first thing he's known for. Like really known for it.
Mm-hmm. They just have so much chemistry, and you cannot convince me otherwise. Yeah.
But I do think Max is well cast though in capturing like that California energy because she does have a very different vibe than the other kids do.
Okay, so apparently that show does get an ending, and funnily enough, went on longer than the original show.
Weird.
I only one season, but still.
Yeah. Well, I'm also curious how the episode count compares because that old show is probably like 20 episodes or more. I don't know.
Yeah, and see, this is when, because this is around the time of like that Ringer, and I think CW started to move a lot of shows to 12, 13 episode. iZombie is that way. It's only 13 episode seasons. That's another show we could do in this format.
That's true.
Your mother's here.
And this is the stuff that I really like, how we keep this progressing logistically. Like
it's the last time Will has anything to do with the main plot.
That is true. But it feels believable, right? That there would be these regular checkups, and it's really awkward and uncomfortable. Yeah. It's like he has to have this constant reminder of this thing he went through. It's really sad, but it feels very believable. And as we'll get into later, there's a lot of Exorcist in this season. That's one of the big things they're pulling from.
Which is funny because it's not an 80s movie.
Nope.
What if they're pulling specifically from The Exorcist 2?
I wish James Earl Jones showed up as a giant locust. Are you kidding me?
What if Will just sat up in bed and started going, Pazuzu!
I also think that may have been 70s. I think that was like 78 or 79, so not quite.
Say it ain't so. You're right, 77. If that had come out just like 3 years later, it would have been peak.
Like, so everything with Hopper and Joyce and Will, it's really natural. The way we're continuing it.
Yeah, I like that he's still there for him. And like you buy it because with the backstory with his daughter.
And it also wouldn't make sense for Hopper and Joyce to be dating yet when we see later other stuff Hopper has going on.
Which might like, be the most forced like way to continue. I kind of wish they made a thing out of like her having to come back.
We'll get into that on the second episode. How do you feel about Paul Reiser in the show?
Oh,
this guy. He was in Aliens, John.
He's an alien? Oh,
he's Burke.
Yeah, as you said it, like I put it. I don't think I haven't watched this since I've seen Aliens like for the first time.
Cool.
Or maybe not for the first time, but like rewatch it to have a memory of it.
Mm. He is specifically cast so like if you know 80s movies like Aliens or if you were especially if you were around in the 80s and know who Paul Reiser is, he is meant to make you think, oh, this guy's a bad guy, I don't trust him. But I really like him. I like how honest this character is because you feel like, okay, this guy's lying, he's hiding something, and no, he genuinely has this kid's best interests in mind. You know, he's trying to help, and I really like that.
Yeah.
And I like that they keep him around. You know, he gets cameo in 3, and then gets back in 4. But I do like
Oh,
this guy.
I remember him dying this season.
That's a false memory.
Shows how much I like this season.
Well, remember in 4, he gets 11 and is in charge of getting her powers back. Yeah, he has that
Oh
subplot.
yeah. I mean, to be fair, that's not a great subplot.
It's not, but I like
I
it.
too have seen Return of the Jedi. Remember Return of the Jedi?
I like when we have a character who is wrong but doesn't have like an inflated ego or isn't an idiot.
Yeah.
He genuinely thinks, oh, like, well, he just is PTSD. That's all. Like, and he's wrong, but you believe it. It's not because he doesn't care or is empathetic or you know. So is this your least favorite season?
It has some really good stuff in it, but then there's stuff that's I think is CW level writing at best.
I don't disagree.
And I will admit some of it is I do like Steve and Nancy together, so the way they handle this puts a bad taste in my mouth.
Mhm.
Hey, isn't that lady from Beetlejuice? I like how they're realistic about how we would have treated post PTSD back in the 80s.
It feels authentic. Like we're still not that. I mean, we're what, like it's over just over a decade off from like Vietnam. Like there's still a lot of people at this time not taking this seriously, or who just don't get it. So that stuff feels authentic, and I like that Hopper is someone who A has served and B lost his daughter. So I like that attention where he's the type of person who's like, no, he has a point. Like that post traumatic stuff, it's real. Like I don't know when we start calling it post traumatic stress disorder. Like I don't know when that phrase is cool. Yet
George
there are a
Carlin
lot of
has a
people.
great bit on that.
Oh, cool.
I'll have to send it
I
to you.
like I like Carlin. I've seen very little of his material.
I've mostly seen out of context. I don't think I've actually watched a full special.
He's on the very first episode of Saturday Night Live. He gets a few stand up bits in that.
Oh, cool. He's also in
And
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
he is in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and allegedly was very high when he filmed the Saturday Night Live pilot.
There was something else he was in that I was shocked to see him. Now I'm. Hold on. Ooh. Oh yeah, he's in Scary Movie 3.
Oh, weird. That must be one of his last movies.
No.
Oh, really?
His last two movies are Cars and Happily Never After.
He was in Cars? I always forget.
He plays Fillmore.
Okay, I don't remember the film.
But no, because the Scary Movie 3 bit is great. He plays the architect, and he does a parody of the god awful Matrix, I think 3 scene.
That's perfect casting.
No, that movie is legitimately the best scary movie.
I need to watch it. He's great in the first two Bill and Ted movies. Dig Dug, my favorite.
I love how Doctor Who that movie is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that love triangle doesn't actually end up being like a true love triangle. But I feel bad.
Oh,
Spoilers. I feel bad for Dustin.
Yeah. But there's so much great stuff with him this season. I think it pans out okay for Dustin.
Yeah.
Also, if Dustin and Max actually date, I don't see that lasting very long. Was this a thing for you growing up? Did you like did your parents or dad or whatever like make you get rid of toys or like filter out stuff, do like yard sales or whatever? Was that a thing for you?
No.
Not for me either.
My thing was, especially when I went to live with my mom, if I disobeyed, I would just get something taken away. But I would get it back eventually.
I always hear horror stories about people where they're like, yeah, my parents just like threw away my old comics or whatever. And I'm like, what? Like, who throws that stuff away? Like, how could you do that? So yeah,
This dinner scene is so awkward.
It is, and I love it. It's very real. Good KFC product placement.
It's finger looking good.
Steve's so good in this scene. And it feels authentic though, because often like if especially an only child of a family, if they go missing or die, you will often see their best friend kind of still spend a lot of time with that family or being kind of taken in as like a second set of parents or whatever. Like this is really common.
No, I really like this, and I like that Steve is. I'll go with you. I'm supporting you in this.
Mm-hmm.
But we're gonna get into it a little bit later because this scene leads to their whole subplot, and Steve is 100% in the right, and the show doesn't act like he is, and it drives me insane.
About what part specifically?
So his whole thing is telling them would put them in more danger. They should try to just live their lives and be teenagers. And that is what sets her off on the path that what happens at the Halloween party. But Steve is 100% right.
Okay. And in that situation, that's fair. I still really like the destination of this subplot. I like that we find a way to give these parents closure for more.
I don't remember them getting closure.
They do.
Okay.
I have issues with the journey. We'll get to it in those episodes, but I like the destination a lot. Because, and a big thing that's eating at Nancy is I don't want these people living the rest of their lives not knowing that their daughter is dead. Like that's an awful thing for a parent to go through.
Yeah, no, I like this like PTSD. It's just I think they throw her under the bus a little bit and use that as an excuse. I think you fixed this season a lot, and I had this with last season. If they just somebody has a conversation about it, nobody has a conversation in this show.
Right. Finn. Don't get rid of the Falcon.
So
Not the
to go
Falcon.
back to your question, I was also extremely grateful because as a child, I was raised by my grandparents, and my grandma, she couldn't raise her voice at me, let alone tell me to throw something away. She also bought me like whatever I wanted. It was awesome. No, so funnily enough, that's how I get into Dragon Ball. I asked her for a movie for like my birthday or for something, but she accidentally bought the wrong thing. It was a Dragon Ball Z videotape.
Oh, cool.
And I was hooked.
Well, that worked out.
Do you buy that he's lashing out because she's not answering?
I mean, remember that he doesn't. For all he knows, she could be dead.
Yeah, but he
at
also
his
knew her for
age-
like a month.
At his age, I buy it. That's pretty traumatic, and they were very close. At his age, I buy his behavior this season.
Okay. I don't. I've always felt like their romance is a little forced.
The romance part of it, sure, but like when you're a kid and you have a best friend, I mean, you latch onto them pretty quickly.
But I wouldn't even say that she's his best friend.
Not more than his actual like he crew, the boys, but like they spent a lot of time together. Like I said, I dealing with death like that is a lot for a kid and someone your own age.
Mm-hmm. This might be my favorite subplot of the season.
The Gremlins subplot.
Well, because this also is what ends up having him team up with us, Steve.
Yep, which is my favorite stuff on the season.
It's the best stuff. It's just I have to sit through other stuff that makes my blood want to boil. My dad had a camcorder kind of like that.
Oh, cool.
Sadly, all the tapes that he recorded just kind of got lost to time.
Yeah. That's so unfortunate.
See,
this is Jonathan stuff I like.
Well, and I think that's part of my frustration as well because they are so insistent on putting Natalia Dyer, who plays Nancy, and Charlie Heaton together, and I think it's just because they're dating. And I'm not even talking about a romantic relationship. I'm just talking about for the plots when we pair everyone off. Pair you off for a season.
Yes, for once, please. they have they get nothing to do in 4, but they get like one really good scene together.
I mean, and Jonathan
that I really liked.
And this isn't just me because I don't like. He's probably my least favorite character. He's awful in 4.
It's definitely his weakest season as an actor.
I'm a stoner, dude.
But like I said, they do get a scene together in 4 that I really
like. Yeah. No, when they reunite, it's better, but that's towards the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
But Jonathan also has that really condescending, well, who else is going to be in charge? Steve? Come on. You are my best friend that I will never hang out with because I'm too busy with Nancy.
Yep. This is why I have so much empathy for Will. So much a lot of season 2 is Jonathan and Mike telling him that they're his best friend. And then by season 3 on, they keep ditching him. This poor kid.
No, I really feel bad for him in season 3 because I've been in that position.
As am I.
It's like, hey, you want to hang out? Sorry, I'm hanging with my girlfriend. Oh. Fuck me then.
Look, they're watching Batman.
Yeah, I've never seen that movie.
I haven't seen Mr. Mom either.
Remember landlines?
The call is coming from inside the house.
Why are they shooting that so ominously?
You know this guy's gonna make it.
Yes. You've seen A Quiet Place, right?
Yes.
Does the monster in that not look a lot like the demo goblins or demo dogs?
It does. It also looks a lot like the Clover. There is kind of a baseline design ever since Cloverfield that we keep going back to, and we probably need to stop.
We really do. Like, Cloverfield sucks.
I mean, I like that movie, but it gave you a headache when you watched it.
But even if you like that movie, you can't deny the monster design is kind of a bland.
At the time, I don't know. Like, I think it works in the movie. We've just seen it replicated or in various ways so many times since.
So interestingly, this is written by Brad Kern, who was an executive producer and showrunner on the original Charmed. And he has worked on Lois and Clark: The New Adventures, The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr.
I need to watch that one. That's the Bruce Campbell one.
I bought it on DVD and I just never got around to watching. And he is one of the only writers that has a Wikipedia page. For oh wait, I'm sorry, I'm looking. I have the wrong Wikipedia page up. Not for Beauty and the Beast. God damn it!
No, retract it. I should point out we are at the Close Encounters of the Third Kind shot.
I haven't seen
You
it.
should be counting these. It's a good movie.
Is this gonna go in? Is this gonna be like an appendium to your Smallville counting book?
Of course.
So this is like the most successful streaming show, right?
It's gotta be. Like, no contest.
And then they're gonna ruin its legacy with all those spin-offs.
Oh, sure. But
well,
I mean,
I say that, but they might also ruin its legacy with the last season. We'll see.
Maybe. I hope they pull it off. Well, because so far it's like every season after the first is divisive to some extent. You know, it can never be as good as season one for the masses, but it's still a ratings giant. People still watch it.
But we've also seen, look at Game of Thrones, a bad finale will tank your show.
Mm-hmm. And though, I mean,
maybe this is cynical. I don't trust the Duffer Brothers to deliver.
We'll see. And it's interesting too, though, where I'd say the show is doing something right. It's that no one can really agree on the season rankings, which I always take as a good thing. Like, a lot of people love 2, a lot of people love 3, and now a lot of people love 4. Mm-hmm. So the show is doing something right when you're getting that variety of a reaction.
4 would be
agreed upon.
4 would be the best season if you just trimmed all the fat. I think the actual main plot with Steve and Eddie and all of them that are actually in Hawkins is some of the best they've ever had. But you've got the Russia subplot, the kids doing Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back. Mm-hmm. Whatever the hell Jonathan is doing. Oh wait, no, he's part of the Empire Strikes Back thing. There's a third subplot. What is it? Or fourth? No, sorry. So you got the kids, Russia, Hawkins. Isn't there a fourth one?
Well, I think a couple are kind of split up because you got California, Indiana, and Russia, and the Indiana one's basically like 2 different subplots that are happening at the same time.
That's what happens
really
when you keep adding characters and not killing any of them off.
Yep. I really like though that we do hold off on revealing 11 until the end for this premiere, and I like that they don't play coy. They don't make you wait like 5 episodes to see that she's alive. Like, no, she's back. The way we get here is really clunky, but I think it's at least paced well.
Yeah, no, I don't have a problem with this reveal.
It's a good note to end the premiere on. That was episode 1.